I started violin lessons when I was 3 years old. That was my first, and I actually took violin lessons for 15 years. So that was, I was pretty serious about it, and I did okay. I was playing solo repertoire and playing in orchestras and chamber groups and stuff until I was 18. And I started playing piano by ear when I was around 4 or so, like that. And just pick things up little by little. Somehow, here I am playing at the Newport Jazz Festival.
Well, yeah.
It was mostly real world kind of stuff, but also a bit in school. I didn't have any formal lessons on piano. I had a few lessons with a jazz pianist when I was about 15. About 3 lessons where he mainly just showed me some basics about how to read a lead sheet and some basic voicings and things like that. I'd studied some theory and harmony, and my high school had a jazz ensemble, so I played in that for a couple of years. And that was pretty good education, you know, for a couple of years, trying to read through these student big band charts. And the rhythm section would do its own little features sometimes. So, you know, so that got me into playing the repertoire. And then I was also just checking out a lot of records from the library, public library, pre-internet, or pre-internet as we know it, you know. This is in the 80s. Yeah. Well, I worked for several years with Steve Coleman, and he's probably one of the primary figures for me, as influence and kind of mentorship in that way. George Lewis, trombonist and theorist, composer, electronic musician. He was an advisor of mine when I did my graduate studies, and he's still a very good friend, and he's taught me a lot about music and sort of philosophy and understanding what's going on in the world and how what we're doing relates to it. Amiri Baraka, I played with him for several years, and he was a huge influence on me. Yeah, I miss him. Butch Morris, played with him for a while. That was also hugely influential. The idea of process in music was so profound. Wadada Leo Smith is a really big influence and very important person in my life. You know, he kind of was a teacher of sorts. I was in his band for several years in the Golden Quartet, and we've done a lot of stuff together, touring and records, and I just learned so much from him. He's a real visionary and real deep thinker and has a big heart. And Roscoe Mitchell, I would put him on the list too. I got to be in his band for some years. Yeah. And then I learned a lot from my peers, you know, the people in my band. I mean, I learned a lot from Marcus, from Graham Haynes, and from, you know, Steve Lehman, and Liberty Ellman, Rudresh, and all these guys have a lot to offer. Yeah, well, you know, you pick up a lot of like anecdotes from being on the road with somebody, but I think the main thing you learn, or the main thing that I've learned from working with the people I mentioned, Steve Coleman, Roscoe Mitchell, Wadada Leo Smith, is how to really be in the moment. You know, you prepare as much as you can, you shed, you know, you practice the music and you work on your ear and everything, and you work on playing together, you rehearse. But then when you're on stage or when you're in the course of performance, things happen that you can't predict and you can't turn back, so you have to sort of make something out of it. So I think I learned the most about that from all the elders I mentioned. How do you turn a crisis into an opportunity to make something not just passable, but great, you know. So that's really where the art of this music is. Well, I think with music that has improvisation as a sort of central component or central feature of it, sort of like a structural necessity of the music, you kind of have to get rid of a notion of mistakes. It's not really useful because really the point is to work with what's at hand and make something out of it. And because of the way time works, it only goes in one direction. It's not about turning back and fixing something, it's about transforming the memory of what just happened into something substantial. I think it's Alex von Schlippenbach, the Count, the pianist who I believe is German. He said that the only mistakes in improvised music are missed opportunities. So that's really a better way to think of it. It's not about playing wrong notes or right notes. It's more about failing to listen, or failing to deal with what's at hand. You know, those are the real mistakes. Hi, this is Vijay Iyer. For more videos, go to JazzTimes.com.